All right, man. Welcome to another episode of Push Talks. I'm here with my guy, Lou. What's going on?
What's going on, big dog?
Thanks for coming, man.
Hey,
I really
man,
appreciate
all
you.
good, man. I appreciate you having me, man.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
So, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, man?
For sure, man, for sure. Well, for those that don't know me, Lou Alexander, like you mentioned, full name, Lou Alexander, kid from Linwood, share border with Compton, California. Currently, well, I would say ex-NFL athlete, currently working the tech space, man, and been doing that now for about 8 years, man. So a lot of layers to me, I'm pretty sure in this conversation, man. We'll get to chop it up and really learn a little bit more about me, but that's me at a high level, man.
For sure, man.
Yep.
Look, we got brothers in the tech industry. Like, what they talking about? What they talking
We
about?
got brothers, man.
Yeah,
We got brothers in the tech. Hey, it was definitely a process, I'll say the least, but we are in the tech industry, and I think my main mission, man, is just to evolve the tech industry with diversity initiatives, man. Make people like us and make people see that placing us in the tech business is actually a benefit to their business. Just from using our eye, our perspective, and what we've been able to acquire over the years, you know, good and bad. I think it's just a benefit to offer in that industry as it continues to evolve in the digital space. So yeah, man, it's a good space.
Now, when did you know that you wanted to get into the tech industry?
Man, that's a loaded question because I didn't. To be honest with you, I didn't know that I even wanted to get into the business, man. When I first got into tech, it was after the NFL, and I was on my last dollar. You know, just to give you kind of take a step back and give you my story. I played in the league for 2 years, played for New Orleans, and then went on to play for Tampa for a little while, and then was released. But in that time frame, you know, I met a guy that basically just took me under his wing, and he was a part of certain venture capitalist firms that he was like, hey, man, you know, you should come into this business because it's only going to give you the lifestyle that you're looking for outside of the league. And at him, I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. So he said, but you got to start off as a sales rep. And it's funny because I talk about this in a lot of my talks is it's one question that changed my life, man. And he asked me this on a plane, actually. And I saw this guy on a plane wearing a Rolex watch, man, and he walking through the aisle. And I'm literally like, hey, whatever you do, I want to figure it out because I just want the Rollie. Right? Like, that's just kind of what we want. Yeah. And he ended up telling me that he was on a VC for years, man. And then after that, he took me under his wing, and I went into the sales space and started to learn different businesses, started to learn full suite of applications, back-end analytics, all the nerdy stuff that people think it's just not it's not useful. But I started learning all that stuff, man, and really thrived in that space for a couple of years, man. And then after that, man, my name started to really socialize in that industry, and it's been all she wrote after that.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
Hell yeah.
See, when I was a kid, I was fascinated with computers, and everybody in my family kind of like was enabling me to push computer technology. Like they kind of like was like, oh, you gonna deal with computers, man. Yeah. Like they ain't know nothing about computers. They just knew that I knew how to make PowerPoints. That's it.
You know how to work Excel.
Be good. Yeah. So I'm a senior, and I'm researching computer engineering.
Oh, okay.
Man, and I was like a junior or a senior, man. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just see if I can get the basics. Let me see if I can put a computer together. So I started taking my computer apart. Why did I not unplug it, and I shocked myself? And it was like the dumbest thing ever. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing computer engineering.
That was all she wrote for that.
I'm like, nah, this ain't my thing, man. I stick to PowerPoints for now.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Listen, man, it's funny you say that because, see, I can't take the credit for the smart and kind of the analytical thinking that goes within building computers. Yeah. For me, I work on the business side. So someone comes and they'll hire me to build their business and understand how to make their industry or make their department more productive. So I've learned and I've acquired the knowledge of the tech space more specifically from performance engineers and people that know the tech on the back end of things. But I mean, for you even breaking a computer down, I don't even think I'm that advanced, bro. To be honest with you, so I think
unplug it first.
I think for me, I'm busy. I always tell people my foundation, man, and my main principle is business first, and then I'll handle all the other things later, far as the technical aspect of things, man. But you're not you're farther than me, man. I'll tell you that.
Hey, man. Hey. I know what I'm not gonna do, and it's not gonna be that.
Yeah, right.
Let's talk about to adjust it to life after the league.
Yeah, man.
You know, what was that like for you, that transition? Because it's like, how long were you how many years of work did you put in to lead up into the NFL?
Man, years, man. You know, as far as I can remember. You know, initially I was a baseball player. So I didn't even like football, to be honest with you. Like, I liked it from a standpoint of indirectly it influenced me, but I didn't like it to be immersed into football. So I didn't pick up my first football in an organized setting until high school. I was a baseball player. And then also too, growing up, like a lot of us in the inner city, I grew up and I suffered from childhood obesity. So growing up for me, I couldn't even play organized sports. That's when they had the weight restrictions. That's when you couldn't go in. You was a certain age. I was a fifth grader looking like a 19-year-old. You know what I mean? I was huge, man. I mean, I don't even know how much I weighed specifically, but I was huge. I used to weigh 340 actually. Yeah, I used to weigh 340 when I played.
340 up there.
I was 340, but that wasn't when I was a kid, though. I couldn't be no kid at 340. But when I was in high school, just to put things into perspective, man, I was 6'1". When I got to high school, not even 6'1" yet, I was probably like 5'11", 6 foot, and I was probably about 265 pounds, man. So I was a big old dude, man, and I played baseball, and they used to call me the tank because, man, I had too much momentum when I go around the bases. So I used to run around the bases, and I couldn't even stop my damn self, so I used to knock people off the bases. And the coach was like, hey, man, listen, you need to play football. Literally, I promise you, I cannot make this up. And shout out to Coach Root. He came and grabbed me, and ever since then, man, I had a football in my hand. And that's when I played up leading to the league. And then after high school, I went to JUCO. Played JUCO ball for 2 years. And so my route was always taking me different directions. I wasn't just a streamlined person that played one high school, D1 into the league. And so after high school, like I said, went to JUCO, and then after JUCO, got a full scholarship to Syracuse. And then after Syracuse, I went as an undrafted free agent to New Orleans.
Wow.
Yep. So it was years put in, man. I would say about 7, 8 years of just 9 years to be exact, of just a grind, man, trying to understand exactly where I fit in the sports realm for sure. Yeah.
What about, let's talk about also, you have a whole family now.
I have a whole family.
Yeah.
Real.
So when, about where was you at in your life when you met your now wife?
We met in college.
Y'all met in college?
We met in college, man. We met my junior year of college, man. 2010, actually. We met in college, and funny story, man. We met Halloween, and I was a big dude. And now that I look back at it, I'm like, damn, you grabbed me when I was like that? So I gotta block you down, because now that we own, you know, it's different. But I tell her she made a great investment, though. It's paying her huge dividends. But she made a great investment. But I think for me, man, it was funny, man. When we met on Halloween, and we met from my roommate at the time. And she just came to a party that we were throwing, and in college and the football players, you always throwing the parties, and people come over, they want to hang out with the athletes. So she just came over. I thought she was just one person that was just coming over to hang out with the athletes. But no, she was just over just to basically have a good time and be in college. And so I saw her, and I said, man, who is that? My roommate said, hey, bro, I think I like her. So I think, cool. So I said, I'll put it on ice for a minute, whatever. I'm not going to try to get at her. A year go by. We still friends, though. I communicate with her going and passing throughout school. And then ever since that, man, 2012, my last game of college, was the Pinstripe Bowl that we ended up winning, beating West Virginia, is when I made an exclusive. And I told her, man, I was like, listen, I got to hold you down. You need to be with me.
Was it a big proposal, or was it just like?
Nah, it was funny. I didn't have no game back in the day, which is crazy too.
You got it now, though.
So no, I don't got. But listen,
No,
honestly, it's funny, right? I probably had game, but I didn't have game with her. Like when you know it's the one when you get nervous.
Yeah, the one that make you nervous. That's
you know
the
what I'm
one.
saying? Like
That's
I was nervous. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even know how to articulate a sentence or even form something of like enticing enough for her to really like look into me as someone that she wanted to be with. All I can ask her was just a simple question of, hey, you like me? Literally, circle yes or no. No, like, you know what I mean? But it's like something like that. You feel me? And I end up, we end up kind of creating that rapport. And after that, we started to see that the synergies aligned. We had a lot of common interests. And then, man, we was like, you know what? I think that we can be more than friends.
Yeah.
And man, the lights was on, man. Spotlight was on. It felt like just her and I was in the room. And ever since then, man, it's been 10 years, bro. And we got married. We got married almost 4 years ago.
So you've been, y'all been together 10 years, been married for 4.
Yep.
Right? You got a son?
We got a son. Yeah, my son.
You doing good for yourself
Yeah, I'm
financially.
trying. Yeah.
I mean, you really got the all around story. You went you went to the NFL, and
Yep.
I think that you a great example of, you know, I could say a modern black man, like at least what we would like it to be. You
But
know
see,
what I
you know
mean?
what, man,
It's like,
and I'm gonna challenge that concept a little bit.
Go ahead, yeah.
Modern black man, right? Because this is the stigma I think that a lot of us as black men get is that when they see something that's a representation of myself, that's been able to have all these things that parlayed and overlap into other things that's made me successful, right? Husband, you know, successful businessman, done all these things. I don't think that get glorified enough. So now the perspective, it changes a bit, right? Because if you're talking to me, it's like, oh, wow, you identify as the modern black man of like what it needs to look like. But there's a lot of lose out there. And I don't think there's a lot of times where we get glorified as being in this position, you know, because I look up to my brothers. My brothers is the way they showed me how to be a husband. They showed me how to be a businessman. They showed me how to maneuver in a space that I've really never had exposure to, losing my father, you know, at such a young age. So, and we'll talk about that as well. But like, yeah, so like I think I challenge that concept because we exist. And I think it's just good men, right? On both sides.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, I would say I'm definitely proud of who I've become. And I definitely wear it with a badge of honor to hold my family up at its highest degree.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that. That's an awesome story. My thing is, like you said, it's not a lot of lose that get glorified.
Nah, not at all.
Why you think that is? I mean, y'all definitely out here. You got music that kind of like things that, you know, push the culture. You got fashion and things like that. And though I'm not gonna mention nobody, but we know what the stigma is and what everybody look to:
Yeah,
jewelry,
for sure.
cars, clothes,
For sure.
women, and all that.
For sure.
You know, why you think, you know, the Lou isn't glorified or appreciated?
You know, it's crazy, right? And this may be a little challenging, not even confrontational, I guess conflicting, I guess is the proper word for it, is if I go back into the inner city today and I told someone how I've acquired wealth, they may look at that completely different as it's not sexy enough for them, right? What's sexy? Entertainment, being a ball player, right? Having money, having jewelry, having all those different things, right? Rolls Royces, girls, the whole nine. But if you told them, hey, you can acquire all those things if you have the structure of your family, you devote yourself to being someone that's God-fearing, right? Whoever that God is, right?
Yep.
You devote yourself to being someone that's honest and transparent and vulnerable. Now we can really reshape how you look at the ideology or how you look at a certain concept of who it is to be a black man in America, and a successful one,
Exactly.
right? Because if it's not sexy, media's not driving that story. They don't want to drive that story, right? Lou Alexander is too positive, right? Positivities don't get driven as much as the other side of things, right?
Exactly.
It takes us to speak up and bring awareness on it, but no one's gonna come and knocking on my door and say, hey, you have positivity, man, come on, you can sell for me. They're gonna knock on my door and say, what story can I get out of you that's deeper?
Yeah.
Right? So when I do interviews and I talk to people, they say, man, what's the other layer to you? And I'm like, what other layer? What are you mentioning? Well, they gotta be another side. Because it's just, and I'm like, no, I grew up in poverty. So I've seen the other side. So now for me to be able to come back into this realm, it's easy for me to be an honorable man because I've seen that other side of things. Right. So now I got to really focus and really help position myself in a way where I'm not looked at as this negative stereotype. I'm looked at as somebody that's a positive influence to the culture.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that's kind of how,
how I look. And that all revolves around it really starts with, like we was talking about earlier, changing your mindset, the way you think.
100%, bro.
You know, how many, what influences did you have around, you know, when you developed this mindset, when you began to lay your foundation, you considered yourself a man of God. You considered family as a strong part of your foundation. How did you get to this mindset, and how did you continue to just thrive off of that and not become a product of your environment?
Man, I got a strong mom, dog. A strong mother, man. A strong mother. Someone that raised 10 kids, I'm one of 10. I'm the 10th.
Okay.
I'm the baby of the family, you know. So my mom, she raised us since I was 5 years old when my father got killed. So for me, again, growing up in the inner city, my father was murdered. I saw how she was happy all the time. Bro, she was positive all the time. It was never a day that I saw my mom not positive. So it's like, if I can see that out of a woman that was dealt these deck of cards,
Exactly.
and the exposure that I'm getting now, being blessed with this God-given ability to play sports, being blessed with all these things that I've been able to acquire, how can I not be positive?
Right.
I have to stay positive, because if I don't, now I'm neglecting the years that she put in and the hardship to influence me to be this person that I am. So I can't attribute my success, I can't attribute my mindset to myself, right? The influence was directly from the source, the woman that raised me. Now, there was other people that kind of put their arms around me and took me and showed me the ropes of, this is what you need to do in order to be where you want to be. And I'm gonna show you the way, and I'm gonna give you the blueprint. But that wasn't often, right? Like, they
very blue moon.
very,
Maybe.
you know what I mean? So like, I would say, man, my family, man, we so tight, where I got so many great people inside of my structure and my family where they influence me.
What did it take to keep that structure together? Like, did you have to let some people go and cut, because in that process of becoming, you realize that everybody that you started with ain't gonna be able to make it to where you're going. Did you ever go through any of those situations where you had to let somebody that really meant a lot to you, you had to let them go for the better sake of yourself?
Hell yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
We all do, man. And that comes with success at any level, right? Because think about it, we talked about exposure earlier.
Yeah.
Me just graduating high school was a certain level of exposure that now people that wasn't exposed to it say, oh, look at this educated dude. He educated, he don't want no parts of us. He don't want to have a conversation because he's educated now. That's one layer. So there's a whole shift of people that are going to just fall off on that
On
level.
their own. Yeah.
On their own.
Yeah.
And then there's another shift of people where once you're educated and you go D1, you're playing in front of 80,000 people. Now you're a celebrity. Now you're Hollywood. Now, oh, I can't even talk to you that way. And now family is asking, or not even family, just extensions of the family, what can they get out of you? Because they deem or they think that you're a certain person, they fall off. Because now those conversations are weird when they have them with you, right? And what I mean by weird, to break that down, is if I'm having those conversations and, they're like, oh, how is it playing at Syracuse? Well, I'm like, hey, it's great. And I'm excited to share my story because I'm doing this for us. It becomes braggadocious. It becomes, oh, you think you better than, right? So you have to weed those off because everybody really don't want to see your success, family included. A lot of family. I'm not saying that most of your family.
Yeah.
So I got my core group of people that I stick with, man, in my family. And I know how to compartmentalize family. Like, it sounds clinical, but it works because
I mean, it's something that you've been doing for years. And once you've been doing something for so long, you know how to.
You got to know how to move, man. Because they see if you got certain family that see money attached to you, or they see something like that attached to you, and they know that they can have access to you. Their only conversation is going to come from the access of whatever you can get them. It's not in the benefit of you anymore.
Exactly.
So man, you definitely got to revise and sweep. And sweep shop of who's the people that are there for good or who's the people that are there for bad for you. Yeah, you got to do it, man.
What would it take? What does it take? For you to maintain the level of happiness you need to prevail and do what you need to do as a man, like every day. Like, for example, cutting off friends or family or it could be even something that's, breaking a bad habit. What does it take for you to maintain happiness for yourself so you can be what you need to be for the people that depend on you?
100%. So I'm going to flip this question on you real quick, right?
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you because I got an answer for it.
Okay.
What does happiness mean to you?
Man.
And what is happiness?
For me, it's definitely a piece of sanity, man. I need my sanity.
You need vindication.
Yeah, I
need
can't.
peace.
I don't like being on edge, especially about things that I don't have control over. So, if I know that I don't have control over a situation, I have to let it go before that situation then becomes a situation that really affects me. I have to internally tell myself and make sure, like, there's nothing I have control over, whether that's a way somebody react or Just the situation I don't have control over. You know, that's the one thing. And the other thing is just focusing on the things that I'm responsible for, my kids, my bills. You know, all the above, man. Just my priorities. You know, just prioritizing the things that I definitely need to get through the day.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
pretty much that. Don't worry about it.
Yep. So I get that, man, because what I always say about happiness is it starts, and it's two things, right? There's intrinsic and extrinsic, right? Intrinsic is what is actually inside of you that makes you happy. Because you make you happy.
You do.
If I relied on you to make me happy, that's not true happiness to me, right? So for me, I have to limit the expectations of what is happiness to me. And what I said is the key word is limit expectations. That's me, right, in itself. So that intrinsic is inside of me. I have no expectations for you to make me happy or expectations for you to make me feel a certain way. The extrinsic is external. Cars, clothes, jewelry, girls. None of that stuff has value to me. Right? All those are liabilities to me. So for me, it's intrinsic, right? It's lowering my expectation of everyone. I don't never go into a meeting with anybody and say, hey, I'm going to feel a certain way if this meeting goes this way for me to have a connection with you. Because if I do that, now that dictates my happiness.
Yeah.
And so in order for me now, and why I'm always so happy for my family, and I'm able to be that supportive, is because the expectations of the exterior of the world, that doesn't matter. What matters to me is the core of my family. They matter to me. They matter. What they view me, how they view me, that matters. And the peace of mind that they're able to give me from saying, I support you, that's the value that I'm looking for my happiness, to be able to project back to them. So for me, you know, that's how I look at happiness. Is it starts with your core, but it also starts inside. Also you got to limit those expectations of how you even define happiness for yourself. I heard somebody say peace, and you said it as well, vindication and peace. And peace is happiness, because too much pleasure can sometimes be unhappy.
Definitely. So basically, it's safe to say that, you know, setting expectations could be the result of disappointment.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Because think about how many times, let's just think about it this way, right? Think about in the last year, how many times you had expectations for something, right? You got your own brand.
Yeah.
Right? So let's just say you're talking to a manufacturer.
You definitely right.
And you hit up a manufacturer, and they're in China, you sourcing in China, you talking to a vendor. All of a sudden, your expectations for your product to arrive at your step was for 2 weeks.
Exactly.
It went 3 weeks.
And that's why you got to plan ahead when it comes to doing that.
Right. But what I'm saying is that you were like, you were on edge.
Yeah.
Because
waiting on this to come.
You waiting on this to come because I had a 2-week expectation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just, it happens in our life so much where we don't even understand the small, minute details of like how our happiness is really predicated on things that we set expectations on. And if we limited our expectations on certain things, it's different. I don't have an expectation. I just know what needs to be done. Right? And that's it. Like, I know what I need to do. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to set expectations on you. I'm going to take it at face value. If you end up doing something completely different, no malice against you. I never had an expectation for you to do anything.
Definitely.
So there's no side that I fit on. But same with you, bro.
That's an excellent answer.
Yeah.
Excellent answer.
Yeah. Same.
Let's get into, you ready to share your push through?
Man, let's do it, man. This was, we chopping it up. So, you know, I'm definitely loving it,
How
man.
we looking on time? Y'all, we good? Like 20, 30 minutes? Okay.
Cool.
Let's get into your push through.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, your push through is basically a story where you face some type of adversity or a situation, and you overcame it. What story would you like to share?
Oh man, damn. I feel like every day is a push through.
It definitely is. Yeah.
To be honest with you,
kids,
man.
yeah.
That is the push through, right?
Yeah.
Every day is a push through. But I was right, man. But just to get up out of bed, man.
Yeah.
I mean, damn, sometimes I wake up, man, and I'm like, I'm not 340 no more. And I wake up, I can do certain things. I'm like, damn, I pushed through that.
Yeah.
I can do it. But
sure.
I would say for me, man, realistically, to be all serious, is if I had to think about a defining moment, I would say there's two. I don't know if that's the rule.
Add four.
So and these all kind of acquired and built up to how my life kind of played its part. So I would say the biggest push through is growing up without a father. That was one push through, and that was growing up without a father by not his choice, but by the choice of the hands of someone else. Right? Having to deal with that adversity as a young child. seeing everybody else's fathers at games and, you know, they high five and they got their fancy handshakes. And I used to ask myself, how can I get that? Or why don't I have that, right? And the push through was overlooking all the things that I didn't have and pay attention to the things that I do have, which is my mom, which is my brothers, which is him living within me to now take that on, right? And then I fast forward, I would say, man, my biggest push through was being broke after the NFL. You know, I lost everything, man. You know, I didn't have no money, bro. I had $50 to my name that my girlfriend, which is my wife, she gave me. And I was to pay a phone bill. And that push through was, what the hell do I do after the NFL? Because all I know is football. All I know is how to play a sport that I've been conditioned to play my entire life. And transitioning over into the tech space after football was a huge push through, because it was, how do I now keep a score, relatively speaking, right, from football? How do I keep a score within my bank account comparatively to how I used to keep score on fields? And now I'm looking at a whole different scoreboard. Because if it's 0-0 in a bank account, I got to go figure out how to go get the first 7.
Gotcha.
If we're talking about a touchdown, right? And that first 7 to me is the first sale. How do I get that first sale to make money for my family? Because I was 0-0. Shit, sometimes I was in a negative. Right? So I would say that biggest push through, man, is just overcoming the adversity of people really identifying me as someone that can be a value add in the tech space as a minority, as a black man, but that didn't really have the knowledge, but can acquire it over time, man. So I would say those two things are really what highlight to me, man, and stand out the most.
That's awesome. You talk about, you know, after the NFL, you said you was like dead broke. What? I remember that just made me think of a time where I was like, I wasn't obviously out the NFL, but I was broke and I had a girl, but I faced temptation in that time, you know, because, you know, as a man, you think that, or you know that you're supposed to provide
100%,
for your family,
100%.
you know, and I was faced with temptation, you know, just for the sake of, I didn't want my woman at the time to take care of me. You know, how was that process for you? Did you face that, or like, how was that process?
It ate me up inside. It ate me up inside, man, because we are taught to be the providers. And
no, I wanted to just add something to that, just like from what you were saying. But do you think that sometimes it's pride?
Absolutely.
It's like our pride won't let her be.
So that's literally what I was gonna go into. Like, we are so much providers, right? Is that we have a certain level of pride that we're not willing to show vulnerability. And in that time, I wasn't willing yet to show vulnerability because I was so immature in mindset, right? Now, today, right, if I lost everything and my wife was like, I'm taking care of you, I'm open to that. Right? Now I pray to God and I thank God that I'm able to have what I have today and my wife don't have to take care of me, right? I can take care of the family. But at that time, you don't think about a relationship as a unit. You don't think about it as agape love, which is described, right, of unconditional. That's what love is, right? You don't think about it that way because you're young and you're trying to really align yourself to the notion of you a deadbeat. And that comes from our culture a lot. You a deadbeat, man, if I ask you for something. There's so many people outside of our culture, man, that do it. Jewish, Italians, they do it all the time where they have their sons and their daughters live with them for years.
Till they like 28.
Till they're like 28, 29, 30, and say, okay, you know what, you ready to go off on your own? Go ahead, right? And I think we are so conditioned and we're prideful in that regard because we're like, no, I can do it myself. But at that time, when I asked her for that $50, I had to lower my pride. And I had to say, I need it. Now it ate me up. It ate me up because I was prideful and I just came out the league. You know what I'm saying? And everybody thought I was this high, almighty, praise athlete. Now you got no money and you asking your girl for $50. So the pride comes from the disappointment that you feel like you're going to feel from others. That's where the pride is. That's where it's coming from.
That's deep. That's deep. And like I said, I've been in that situation. I can only imagine, like, you know, that's a tough time to get through, you know, like just being vulnerable with your woman. Like,
hell yeah.
So
hell yeah.
Is it like, what do you think, what type of man you think you would be, you know, if your woman wasn't there for you, if you wasn't with her? You know, do you think it's a lot of things you think you would have went through more situations that you would think you would have more push-throughs without your wife there, or?
Man, I would have had 1,000,001 push-throughs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, and I say push-throughs in a sense where I would have put myself in more situations that weren't suitable for my success.
Yeah.
My wife structured me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I had somebody else that was dependent on me to really be structured,
Yeah.
but also someone that wasn't tolerating me being unstructured. Right? And it's funny because it's two sides of the coins. I got boys that's single, right? And when I look at it, I'll be honest, it looked fun.
Yeah.
It looked fun to be able to pop up anywhere you want to and be like, hey, let's go somewhere. Let's go on a date.
Yeah.
But I think what they're not seeing on the other side of the coin is every night I get to go home and share some ideas and share things with someone else that can intellectually have a certain synergy with me
Yeah.
that helps and motivates me to do something different. Right? My motivation is no longer coming from impressing the woman that I don't have. It's coming from impressing to make our lives better as a unit.
Yeah.
I play a part in this as well. We share hearts at that point. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think having my wife, she was a blessing for me at the time because she allowed me to really see the potential that I didn't see in myself.
Right.
And that's what I loved about it. That's what I still love about it. You know what I'm saying? And we've been rocking for a minute. So now that's family. That's someone that I can go to, good, bad, and indifferent. And I wouldn't change it for the world. I wouldn't change it for the world, bro. I wouldn't change it for the world.
That's amazing. Amen to that.
Yeah, man. I wouldn't change it for the world. Now, you single? You single? You got it?
So I was definitely about to mention that. According to my taxes, I'm single.
Yeah, Cornell.
You know, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
You probably head of household.
I'm head of household. I'm not widowed, not married. I'm just head of household.
Hey, I hear that. I hear that, man.
One thing I did want to ask is, you know, all right, so you're a father that grew up without a father.
Yeah.
And you know, that's one of the daily challenges that I struggle with. You know, because I do have a father, but I didn't grow up with my father. And that and still does to this day have an impact on me. And you know, I got to a point in my life where I had to forgive and accept. I had to forgive in order so I can accept my father for who he was, 100%. So I can move forward.
100%.
You know, I couldn't keep blaming my situations on my father not being there or what my mother didn't do.
Yeah.
You know, so just growing up without a father, now I got kids. I got a little brother I'm raising, and I'm doing that with no blueprint. You know, I'm really just doing it based off what I feel is right to do. You know, yes, I make errors here and there. You know, nobody is perfect, but you know, how did you deal with that aspect of trying to raise a child and just trying to figure things out as you go? You know, did you have a confidant or some other mentor that you could go to, of a male figure that you can go to kind of balance you out, or were you just like figuring things out as you went?
It's still a process.
Yeah.
Right? I'm still figuring it out. As any father would say, right? We are imperfectly perfect, as any father would say. And I think the biggest blessing that happened from the loss of my father was being the father that I wanted my father to be for me if he was here. And I knew he would be for me if he was here.
Right.
Right? So like, I look at the idea of what it is to be a father outside of providing. Because growing up in the city or growing up in poverty, you think that a father is just supposed to provide.
Right.
Financially. You go to work, you come home, you take care of, you put food on the table, clothes on your back. That's always what was expressed to us, right?
Yeah.
But I don't look at raising my son because you raise cattle. I look at cultivating my son. Right? Cultivation is different. I want to cultivate my son. I want to have him acquire a certain knowledge that I wasn't exposed to. So for me, I take the approach of educating first before I respond to anything. In my education, in a key word, right? Education before I respond. I don't talk anything to him. I show him through action. Time, love, you know, showing how him and his mom, how we interact, right? Showing him what it is to be a man through action. And then I respond by justifying why I'm doing the actions that I'm doing.
That's a definitely good perspective right there.
And so that's how I glean into being a successful father. Now, I have a lot to learn because
Yeah.
I'm dealing with the other end of the token where my son is not gonna grow up in the hood.
Yeah.
He's not growing up in the city. So how do I now balance and teach him how to work
Exactly.
hard,
Yeah.
to how to be devoted to certain...
Moving out the hood
Mo-
ain't always just, because
Sheesh.
a lot of our foundation and just being a man, our instincts, our survival instincts, just being a man. It's some stuff you will learn in the hood that you're not gonna learn in the suburbs.
Hell no, man.
It's just you had to be there.
You have to.
You had to be there.
My son is not gonna know what it's like to go into the kitchen. All you got is a stick of butter, some bread, and then you got sugar and you got some syrup in the cabinet. And then you might got a pack of noodles that's probably outdated, but you gonna make those pack of noodles taste like
Noodles
lobster
humbled
bits.
me. Noodles humbled me. I tried to get this little boy so many times.
Listen, man.
Like, I would literally tell him, like, look, I would, like, test him. I'd be like, look, you got to figure it out. Make something to eat. This dude would sit there and starve until I order something.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like...
He say, we're DoorDash.
Yeah, I'm not eating. All right.
You gotta feed me.
You got to feed me.
You gotta feed me.
Yeah, it's the law. You got to do it.
No, but no, that's real, bro. No, it's real because, like, I tell people all the time, bro, I keep noodles in the cabinet to keep me humble.
Yeah.
I make noodles once a week.
You got to keep noodles.
Man,
Yeah.
I told my wife, right? She laughed crazy. It was funny. I told my wife, I said, let's have a hood day. She said, what's a hood day? I said, we're gonna cook everything from the hood.
That's dope.
I'm gonna cut up hot dogs and eggs and put them in noodles. I'm making...
Don't forget the Kool-Aid.
I'm making Kool-Aid with all the sugar. I'm not talking about the Capri Sun packs of Kool-Aid.
Whoosh.
I'm talking about the Kool-Aid that you gushing sugar in, right? I'm talking about we gonna go into the fridge. It was funny, I was talking to her sister and I was like, you ever ate syrup sandwich? And she was like, I've had a piece of toast with honey at the top of it. I said, listen, I couldn't afford honey.
Honey?
Honey? I said, honey, I didn't even know that exists. Toasted honey at that. We was putting it under, I used to tell people, they was like, did you have a toaster? I said, nah. Toaster had roaches in it. So we used to put it underneath we used to put it underneath the stove and let it toast underneath the stove, man, and you take it out that way.
If your stove was working.
If your stove was working.
Yeah.
If you had, exactly. If your stove was working, I knew it. And you only did that the first of the month when you know your mom had food stamps. And she literally listen, boy, you know when y'all have fruit in the house? When y'all have fruit in the house, you knew something was happening. The fish fried, some chicken was gonna be fried or something.
See, I don't remember them food stamp dollars. Remember the bills?
No.
Come on, man.
Man, we used to go and cash those in and get the change back.
Real,
We'd take
man.
the $10, what was it, $10 blue? The $10 food stamp was
They
blue.
had the brown
They had the
dollar.
brown, blue,
Yeah.
green. $5 was green.
Man,
Listen.
talk about the 90s here, people.
We talking about the 90s,
The
man.
real struggle.
The late.
We ain't had no Lunchables.
We had no Lunchables with the Oreos in it.
Yeah.
We had that. So yeah, man, like the struggle, I tell people all the time, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Damn, dude, I miss those days because that was life for us, man.
And it kind of made us learn how to appreciate things.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, especially when we got things. It's like that builds character, man.
That builds character, man. 100%,
sure.
man.
It was it's one special part of the show that I got to do. Wes, you mind grabbing that box right there behind you, the one on top? It's on the floor, side of the bookshelf. So this right here, my brother, is the official push package.
Oh man.
I'm gonna go ahead and present this to
Bro,
you.
I appreciate you, man.
Go ahead and open it up.
Let me check it out.
Get to it.
Oh, this is hot,
Had to
man.
throw in the orange push hat for you.
Oh man, look at this. I don't know if the cameras can see this, but bro, this is, man.
That's the breakdown of the logo on
The
what
dove
it means.
represents life and purity. You must be an advocate for peace and prosperity for others. Bro, that's, got the hat right here. Always supporting, man, any brand. So supporting that. Oh, bro, and the shirt is insane as well, man. Damn, bro, hey, I appreciate it, man. For real, man. Thank you, man. This is dope, man. Thank you, bro.
Well, grab that pledge out of there. This the push pledge right here.
Okay.
You can go ahead and just read that into your camera one time right there.
Man, it's okay. It's my camera right here? Cool. I will keep pushing. I will keep praying. I am not weak. I was put here to strive. I'll never be content. I won't waste my life. It's never too late. I will ask for help. I will help others. I will keep pushing. I will keep pushing. I will pray until something happens. Hey,
Amen.
you said it right there,
That's
man.
the push
That's the
plug.
push life right there.
Yes,
Dog,
sir.
this is dope, man. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man, for sure,
coming
man.
on.
Yeah.
And he got the orange and brown on. He wore that because of Syracuse. But
Syracuse, man. We represent Syracuse colors, man.
Little do he know.
All the time. Syracuse colors. And then this is my brand, Big Ass Jogger,
Yup.
dedicated to me being actually 340 pounds. And I started a jogging community out in the valley, and it blew up, man, literally. And that's why I got the brown on with the hat. But it defines to be your biggest self at whatever you do. So jogging is just the foundation, but being your biggest self in any areas in life is how you can really aspire to do more and more. So being authentic and having an impact as well, man.
okay, y'all
Yeah.
make sure y'all check out his brand right below.
Yep.
And
Yep.
also, man, why don't you let the people know your where they can follow you at, your Instagram?
Yeah.
Twitter?
So a lot of the time I spend, I'm not a big Instagram guy, but I do spend time on it. But you can find me at Lou_BIGA88 Jogger. And then obviously on other platforms, Lou Alexander, Twitter, Facebook, things of that nature. And then I've also, if you want to see other interviews, stuff like that of me, I'm a professional speaker. You can go on YouTube as well and just type in Lou Alexander, man. You'll see some things that I got on there.
Cool, man. Appreciate you again, bro.
Appreciate you, bro.
And
Thank
that's
you, man.
been the episode for y'all.
Solid.
We out.
Appreciate it.